something that can have a future in societies where women don't have too many opportunities of moving around and of interacting freely with whoever they meet. So I think that might be one of the reasons. Mm-hmm. But again, I'm just a cheerleader here. I don't know exactly all the things that they do. And I would encourage every member of this audience that if ever you're interested, we have a group here that have come, a group of young entrepreneurs. It's a little bit maybe a first experience for some of the members of the group. So they probably will not be forthcoming immediately, but I'm sure they will learn that this is an opportunity, and it's an opportunity for you also to learn what's happening in Afghanistan.
So use this opportunity to meet the Afghan entrepreneurs in the room, but to all the Afghan entrepreneurs that are listening through Facebook, please tell us why is it that you are so present in the digital space and why technology is such a big issue for you. Use hashtag SheTrades, use our Facebook page, join in the conversation. Mrs. Ghani, how is Afghanistan encouraging, training and equipping their female entrepreneurs?
Well, I'll speak for what the government is doing, mm-hmm. in as much as we are trying to have on the book real rules and regulations and laws that are women friendly. But we still have a lot of things that need to be done. One thing that probably will be shared in other post-conflict countries is that there are a lot of essential basic things like, for example, documents, mm-hmm. ID cards, deeds of property, that not every woman has access to that. And so there is a need, for example, to make sure that women do have access to official documents so that when they go to the bank to ask for a loan, they're recognized as a legal person that can enter a business transaction. So we're probably a little more at the basic steps than other countries where these are matter of facts, these things. There is, of course, like everybody else, there is a problem of financing. Mm-hmm. And we do have some banks that offer microfinancing, but I find that microfinancing is asking for very high interest rates. Mm-hmm. And I usually try to explain to them that they should bring down the rates a little bit, because then, as a previous speaker said, you have a bad loan, and then you spend your time trying to repay the loan. What has been happening, especially in the past 4 years, is that women are feeling encouraged. It's a question of changing the mentalities. Mm-hmm. They have come out of a state of war for 3 decades, and then another 14 years where women are tolerated, you know. Yes, it's nice to have women. It's nice to have them taking care of you in your house, having a dinner when you come back at home at night, and your clothes are clean and the children are taken care of. But they were not really encouraged. And what happened is that at his inauguration, my husband had said that he was going to mention me, and I thought he would say, "And here's my wife." No, he did more than that. He not only said that I was his wife, he said I was his partner in life. And he said, I know that before long, she's going to be attending to the vulnerable people in this population. And when you say vulnerable people in population, at the time, it was probably 90% of the population. But thank you. What I decided to, as you said, to listen to what the people needed. And I found that what the women especially needed, they just needed encouragement. Mm-hmm. It was really much more changing the mentality of the women themselves, telling them, no, this is something you can do. You want to do, I cannot tell you what you should do. You know your situation better than anyone else. Decide what you want to do. I'll be there to protect you, to push you, to encourage you. And, you know, I said these automatically because I feel these things, but I did not know that it was going to be so important. That because there was somebody that happens to be at a high position, although I don't have, I have an office, but I don't have a budget and I don't have any kind of responsibilities, but it was like they needed somebody to tell them, no, it is possible. It's not like I'm giving them permission, but they took permission from me, you know? And this is where I feel that it's really good to have all the technology and to understand all the ins and outs. But the first step is a human step. You have to acknowledge the person in front of you. You have to encourage that person. And you will find out that there are so many people that have already in them the drive, that have already in them the knowledge, that already are managers. They're managing the households. It's not a small thing, especially when you have an extended family, when you have cousins living together, when you have sometimes several wives sharing a household. They already have a lot of skills. They just need to use them and to find a way of doing something with them.
So let me take a poll at this point. How many of you thought you needed to be encouraged in order to run your business?
There are quite a few.
You see?
Yes.
This is a universal issue. This is an issue that is in all societies, in all countries, Mrs. Ghani, that I travel to. Very often you have amazing women that just need this extra push, this extra message, yes, you can do it. So from tolerance to encouragement, this is what we are hearing from the First Lady. You now have permission to go out there and run. That's what we expect from you.
And if I may add, do it forward. I mean, pay it forward. Do it to other women you have around you that you see are not to say, no, this is not my cup of tea. I cannot do this. No, tell them, no, you can. You just find the way. They have to figure out, but give them the push.
So not only do it yourselves, but make sure you do it to your sisters and to your brothers, because we believe in the power of equality in this room. You've said something that I think is very important, is the value of networks and the value of putting people together so that they don't feel alone. They don't think that they've got to carry the burden by themselves. So how can we, from your observations and your travels around the country, how can we enhance cooperation for and among business women?
I'm not really quite sure. I do instinctively encourage people to meet with each other. If I meet somebody that would benefit from meeting somebody else, I facilitate the contact. I also facilitate a lot the interaction with government institutions, because a call from the First Lady's office still has some weight. Sometimes it has no weight, but, maybe 30-40% of the time it has its weight. And we're talking about a country where during the war, women had no presence. Mm-hmm. And so when they would go to ministries, they would sit in the waiting room, and sometimes they would sit a whole day and nobody comes and asks them why they are here, what they are here for. So this was the situation in 2001. Gradually, it started to be more thing, but it still is that if ever people have a choice to talk to a man or to talk to a woman, they would automatically go talk to the man. So basically, the phone call alerts a person somewhere in one of the government institutions that there is this person that's coming, and please meet with her and see what she wants. And I have one example where I was really surprised how quickly it happened. I had a group of women that had come from Mazar Sharif, and they were in agriculture. Mm-hmm. And the government does distribute seeds at the beginning of each planting season. And they were complaining that they never get seeds, or because they're always the last ones to get the seeds. So if the seeds are gone, by the time their turn comes, they don't get it. So I said, okay. And one of my advisors called, as they were sitting, called the relevant office. And they said, oh, yes, we have seen there has been a group of women roaming around our offices. And so the advisor told them, okay, sure, we're going to send them back and see what you can do. I always insist that it has to be done legally. Mm-hmm. That's when my advisors call the ministry, you see, it's always, what is the legal way to solve this problem? So they went. And 20 minutes later, I get a call from them thanking me because they got the seeds. That was the fastest way. There is another very able and entrepreneurial woman who's into education, and she wanted to start a university for women up in Herat. And she had done all the work, gone through all the paperwork, and managed to secure a piece of land. And now it's a land that is government land. And now she wanted to complete the transaction. And unfortunately, another person, a man who has a university in the thing, heard about it and said, okay, I'm going to counterbid. She had done all the work, because she had to talk with the Ministry of Education. She had to make that the land can be assigned. It had taken her a year and a half. And so she called me. And despite all my efforts, all I was able to do is that the land did not go to the man. It remained, because the argument they were using is that it's a kind of historical, it was a place of a very famous university in the 16th century. Mm-hmm. But the other man was running a university that was more like a shop, where you go and you register, and you don't really need to attend the classes. And at the end of the period, after giving some money, you get your diploma. And I thought, okay, I cannot get the land for her, but he's not going to get it either. So that's one of my failures, unfortunately.
Listening to you, I remember when I became Chief of Staff to the World Trade Organization Director General. There's never been a Director General woman, but I was the first woman ever since the creation of the organization in the 40s to become the Chief of Staff. Okay. So a friend gave me a little memento that I kept in my office, and it said, do you want to talk to the man in charge or to the woman who knows what's going on?
Very good.
So whenever people would visit me, I said, okay, you want to talk to the man in charge? It's to the right. If you want to talk to the woman who knows what's going on, then you stay and we talk. Up to you. Mrs. Ghani, how can the global community engage more with Afghan business women to support them in realizing this new trade potential that the country has?
I would like to encourage them to do it, because trade is a equal partnership. The country has gotten a lot of international aid assistance, and a lot of money has come, and there are some achievements, but not commensurate with amount of money we got. Because the mentality of development people that are there to give assistance, my father always used to say, the hand that gives is always on the top of the hand that takes. And so that is a mentality that is not very healthy. It's a mentality that creates dependency. It creates models like NGOs. I have a problem with NGOs in as much as those NGOs that follow the model that at the end of the cycle you have to go around with your begging bowl and ask for more money. It's not sustainable. NGOs need to turn into local civil society institution based on the needs of the local population. So finally, they need to turn into business. They have to have a business plan. They have to try and figure out what will work, what does not work. They can fail. That's no problem, as everybody's saying. But they can keep trying and trying until they find the right solution. I would encourage people to trade in Afghanistan because Afghan women and Afghan men are, it's a population that has gone through a lot of difficult times and yet they have survived. So they are resourceful, they are strong, they are persistent, they are resilient, and they get results, they get things done. So please flock to Afghanistan.
Well, what I take from this conversation is we need to move from tolerance to encouragement. We need to move from dependence to equal partnership. I want to thank you for candidly sharing your experience, for sharing these incredible stories of resilient Afghan women. And I want to take the opportunity to welcome Afghan businesswomen to the SheTrades family. You're in, this family is yours, and I hope that in the next edition of SheTrades Global, we will see this part of the family grow. Thank you again, Mrs. Ghani. Thank you. And then over to Julie.
Okay. Thank you very, very much. As you take your seats, a round of applause. Thank you so much. It's an honor and it's been an absolute pleasure. And we have all been welcomed to Afghanistan. If you didn't think about it before, let's think about it now as we stand together in business. Now, we're going to take a group photo. We've already established that we are all part of the SheTrades family. And we're going to be assisted to work together to achieve a group photo. So I think the first thing I will ask is if all the lights can come up in the room. Thank you. Wow, that was almost magical. So special. Can I ask everyone at the back, can you just occupy the seats in front of you if there are any, so we don't have too many gaps in the pictures? Thank you. That's great. As we position ourselves, anyone putting a fresh lipstick around of, powder, this is the time to get it done. How do you feel, ladies? It's been a good morning. Do you feel energized? You know, someone said to me, we're coming to spread the gospel of entrepreneurship among women.